This video is sponsored by Card Kingdom. You can visit their store by using my referral link in the description below. Hi everyone, I'm Nizzanotes, and it's Saturday, and that means it's time for another edition of Nizzanotes, a weekly vlog series I do where I talk about Limited. We're sort of in between formats right now. My set review for Crimson Vow is ongoing, and as a result, I didn't really want to talk about Crimson Vow specifically or anything like that because, it hasn't really been a format we can play yet, and my set review is sharing my thoughts on all those cards with you anyway. But I did want to talk about a term that I and other Limited players use a lot and how we define that term, and that is when we say premium removal. So this video is about what premium removal is exactly, what kinds of things are premium removal, and what are not. So yeah, I use the term premium removal a lot in my set reviews. I've probably already used it in the videos you've already seen for Crimson Vow. So defining it is kind of important. Typically a card that's premium removal is worth taking with the first pick, and you'll do it pretty often, and you certainly take them and prioritize them highly. But not all removal is premium. There's plenty of removal that you end up cutting a lot of the time, or that you run just because you didn't get any premium removal. So let's talk about what premium removal is. There are two different ways you can get there. One of them is to be really efficient. Something that costs 1 mana, it can kill a large percentage of creatures is really, really good. And the other way is to be unconditional, to be able to kill everything. Now, a spell being an unconditional removal spell doesn't necessarily make it premium. It does have to be somewhat efficient, but efficiency isn't quite as important for a card that kills everything. You can get away with a 4 mana card that kills anything being premium removal, but if you get up to 5, 6, 7, that kind of stops being the case in most Limited formats. So I wanted to look at some common removal from Midnight Hunt to talk about why it is or isn't premium, as I think that will go a longer way towards helping you understand what it means. So first up, I want to talk about Candle Trap. So this you might think could be premium because it only costs 1 mana, but it has too many limitations. It's definitely not premium and not a card you prioritize in that Limited format. The main problem is it doesn't really fully remove the creature right away. That creature can still block, and it's hard for any removal spell that still allows a creature to block to be premium. You need your removal spells to completely remove a creature or get a lot closer to completely removing it than this does. Now, eventually you can exile that creature, but only if you get Coven, and that's a little too slow and needs a little bit too much setup to be what I would call premium. That's not to say it's a bad card. It's just not one you take with a high pick. It's one you run, especially if you're in a Coven deck. It also got worse in a format that had sacrifice effects because the thing is still around to be sacrificed. So yeah, Candle Trap, not premium. Another white removal spell at common was Gold Barrage. This isn't premium because it's too conditional. There are too few creatures it can kill. 3 mana is just not, it's too much, for a spell that doesn't kill a whole bunch of things in the format. And you only ran this in decks where you were really desperate for removal, or you would side it in best of 3 if your opponent had a bunch of targets, but it's too conditional. That's its problem, and that's why it's not premium. All right, let's look at a red common that is Moonrager's Slash. So this is an interesting one because it kind of has 2 modes. One of them is that it's Lightning Bolt, and Lightning Bolt, is a good example of premium removal. It can't kill everything, of course. If something has more than 3 toughness, it can't kill it on its own, but killing things with 3 toughness for 1 mana is insane and very, very good and Limited. What you really want to be doing with these cheaper removal spells is trading up. So, spending 1 mana to kill your opponent's 4 mana, 4/3 is a big deal. You get a big tempo boost there in addition to just getting a creature out of the way. Now, Moonrager's Slash is not always 1 mana to do 3. It only does that if it's nighttime, but it's pretty close to premium anyway. 3 mana to do 3 to something, kills enough things in the format, and it has the additional upside of also being able to hit players. It is kind of interesting because I think if this were 3 mana instant to do 3 to target creature, in most formats it would probably be skirting premium, but when you add the additional upside of hitting an opponent, it's definitely premium, and obviously this is sometimes just Lightning Bolt, so that's what makes it premium. Another red common removal spell was Burn the Accursed. This one's not premium because it's not that efficient. 5 mana to do 5 to something, it's always a solid removal spell. You end up playing one of pretty often, but you don't need to take it early. Even with the additional upside this card has, which, makes your opponent's thing get exiled, does damage to them, etc. It's just not really enough to make this premium. Paying 5 mana to kill an X4 doesn't feel great, and that's what you end up doing with this a lot. And it's also really annoying that if something has more than 5 toughness, it's very hard to kill with this, and it should be able to kill things like that when it costs this much mana. So in blue, there was Locked in the Cemetery at common. This one's not premium because it requires significant setup, and it doesn't completely remove the creature. And that's something I've been saying, you need a card to remove a large percentage of what a creature can do. And stopping attacking and blocking is pretty good. And in most formats, Locked in the Cemetery might actually be premium. But, formats matter. And in this case, the fact it didn't keep that creature from being sacrificed was a big deal. And, setting it up so it actually tapped the creature down, in addition to just making it so it didn't untap, wasn't impossible, and it was pretty doable. But the format itself kept it from really being premium just because there was so much sacrifice stuff going on. So it's an interesting one. I think in a lot of formats, this card could be in the lower range of premium because it would prevent a creature from attacking and blocking, and that's often enough. Ideally, you take away static abilities and things like that too, but cards like Pacifism are historically premium removal spells, despite the fact that they don't stop those things, just because they cost so little and stop the two main things a creature's going to do. So far, we haven't actually seen that much premium removal, but now we're going to move into black, where there's arguably 3 premium removal spells, and that's one thing that made black so good in this format. First up, there's Defenestrate, so it's not completely unconditional. And this is something to keep in mind. A removal spell doesn't have to be completely unconditional to be good. There can be a small subset of creatures that it can't kill, and it can still be premium. This is true of cards like Doomblade or Go for the Throat that can't kill block or artifact creatures respectively, and it's true of Defenestrate, which can't kill flyers, but it can kill everything else at instant speed for 3 mana. Most of the creatures in the format die to Defenestrate, and that's what makes it premium. It's efficient and not quite unconditional, but it's going to feel unconditional more often than not. Eaten Alive, also a premium removal spell. This one's interesting because if it didn't have the sacrifice clause, it probably wouldn't quite be premium because it would be 5 to exile a thing, but it would be pretty good. But a sorcery that costs 5 that exiles a thing is probably a little too inefficient to be premium and something you take really early. But it has the alternate mode here that lets you sack a thing and only pay 1 mana, which is hugely efficient, and it's also unconditional. It kills everything. It actually exiles everything, which is really important in graveyard formats. And it was extra good in this format because there was lots of sacrifice fodder, so definitely premium. The last of these common removal spells I want to touch on and evaluate premium or not premium on is Olivia's Midnight Hunt. This one's interesting because if it didn't have the night mode, it wouldn't be premium. 2 mana to give something -2/-2 isn't quite efficient enough to be straight up premium. It's a card that you'd play one of in almost all your black decks and maybe more if you didn't get other removal. It can trade up, but there's too few things it can't kill. It's a little too conditional, basically. It doesn't kill a broad enough number of things for the mana cost. -3/-3 is where we're getting into premium territory, and we see cards like that from time to time, and -2/-2 doesn't quite get there. But the alternate mode is basically unconditional removal. -13/-13, if it's nighttime, means it will kill anything, and if that's what this always was, it would be an incredibly premium removal spell, really the best one in the entire format. So you kind of have to balance this sort of card, and we have other cards that have different modes, whether because of kicker or certain situations being met. You kind of have to look at both parts of the card and think whether combined you get a premium removal spell, and you definitely do here, because one side is a perfectly fine card, and the other side is an insane, unconditional 2 mana removal spell that's also an instant. So I hope that sort of clears up any confusion you might have had over premium or non-premium removal as I talk about such things in the set review that's ongoing right now for Crimson Vow. So yeah, that'll do it for now. We're not doing a crack a pack because we don't have a new format to crack packs for just yet. Next weekend's video, we'll do our first Crimson Vow crack a pack and do that. So that does it for this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like it and share it so that others can enjoy it too. If you want to make sure you catch future videos of this series and my ongoing Crimson Vow set review, you should subscribe and turn on notifications. If you disagree with my definition of premium removal and non-premium removal, let me know in the comments. And if you want to go the extra mile in supporting the channel, you can do that on Patreon. Thanks for watching.